Fun Slinger, their collab with Never Summer.
Fun Slinger?
Fun Slinger?
Yo, that's the best name for a beer ever.
My God.
Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Like, I guess there's a Jokic pass too that's kind of slinger.
Wait.
Whenever I hear the word slinger.
No, just with all you guys with Mike.
With all
our mics.
We decided we laugh a lot and make it look like something fun's happening, make people read the lips.
Just
I was joking that I hadn't been on a show produced by here in a while. But
Yep.
nobody can hear this, so keep talking about it.
I'm saving all my best content for.
When the audio's back. In a minute.
We're back.
Oh, we're back?
We're back.
Man.
Oh, we are back.
If only the listeners could hear what we just talked
I
about.
know.
so
It
good.
was
It was so
hilarious.
good.
What they missed was that we're presented by the Breckenridge Brewery Fun Slinger.
The Fun Slinger.
It's really fun.
You
Reminds
didn't
me of
get
Spider-Man.
my organic reaction to Fun
Right,
Slinger.
right.
Didn't.
But you could rewind, see his facial expressions. That's fun.
Fun Slinger's good. It's got the Yair stamp of approval.
It's a crushable light lager. What could be better? Check out the beer locator.
Nice.
H&H as they're known at the company.
Never been called that once.
Never. We don't do this often.
Are you
Yeah.
going by Henry or Hank these days?
Oh, dealer's choice. Whatever you want.
Okay, we'll go with Hank
Based on the
today.
vibe. Cool.
Love that. It's a Hank vibe today. We might get some snow. Harrison, is that why you were late for this here show?
Definitely not. I was late
Hell
because
yeah.
there's nowhere to park in our parking lot. That should be for employees. That's maybe not.
Nobody knows.
Right.
There's
right.
a porta potty in one of the spots right now that's taking that up. I parked in like the spot on the end that's like half a spot, but
yeah.
not really. I feel like I'm going to get clipped by somebody coming around the end.
Yeah, you don't love that. You don't love that.
But that's what I had to do. Well, you know, desperate times call for desperate measures.
Big upset, Harrison not being late because there might be snow later.
Right,
Big
right.
upset.
It is a big
Yeah.
upset. The
Yeah.
handicappers had put some short odds on that one. I assumed you were late because you don't skip steps.
What?
Is that motto too old? Do I need to
I
scrap
don't
the
know.
whole
I've
podcast?
skipped steps the first 6-7 years of my media career. I'm down to skip some steps now.
Hell yeah. See,
think
that's
so.
a true. That's Nuggets in 2022 kind of guy.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Henry on the other
Done with
hand,
the don't skip steps era. Ready to
let's go.
climb atop the final step.
All in on
Finally.
the 2 steps at a time. When you get a little older, you start to do 2 steps at a time. It's fun until then you fall and chip your chin or a tooth or something.
My 3 years of steps in Boulder were enough.
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
You didn't.
Lot of
You
steps.
didn't skip any steps, but you also didn't climb any steps. I don't think.
It's true. Just like walk straight forward. Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Just a somewhat downward plateau of sorts. much like
Yeah.
Buffs football. Praise anyone you believe in that we aren't here to talk about Buffs football.
Oh, thank God.
But Henry, you're covering a team that skipped steps previously and is now maybe retracing some steps. What's on the skip stepping scale? Where are the Broncos after this Bradley Chubb
That's
trade?
a really tough question. I hadn't really thought of this in steps perspective. I
Yep,
think steps don't
That's
even
what I'm
really
here for.
apply. I
Okay.
feel like, is trading for Russell Wilson skipping steps?
The NFL's different.
It
man.
is,
The
right?
NFL. You have to skip steps.
Yeah.
I think it is. Actually,
Or draft
I don't
and
know.
develop a quarterback and not skip steps.
Yeah, it's
That
just
didn't
so
work.
The
different.
Buffalo Bills.
I
don't
think you
know.
could make the argument that it isn't and isn't. Because, like, the final step or just one of the steps can be going out and just getting a quarterback, which
Yes.
is what the Broncos thought they were doing.
Right.
Yes.
Turns
Instead, they
out
got
that
just some-
wasn't the final step. They were still a couple steps away
Yeah.
from the final
Not
step.
skipping steps could also be drafting and developing a quarterback.
True. That would be like the easiest definition.
Like, that's what the Rams tried to do, but they eventually had to go get a quarterback.
Exactly.
Right.
Bradley
Right.
Chubb, though, they trade him. We should say pick up a first-round pick, pick up a 4th-round pick next year.
Good,
Also
good. You
give up
nailed
a
it.
5th-round pick the year after that.
did.
And
They
get
did.
Chase Edmonds, too, who was the 2nd biggest contract of any running back this offseason.
Wow.
Who hasn't
Goodness.
really played like it. That's the nicest thing you can say about him.
Goodness.
Is he
Um,
good?
So that's the issue, is that they paid him a lot of money, but then he hasn't
wow.
really been good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
so for his career, though, I mean, 1,600 rushing yards, 1,000 receiving yards. Like, good third down back. If they're riding with Latavius Murray, Melvin Gordon, that's a good piece to add. Overall, we can just start here. It's a good deal. Is it skipping steps, though? I think you were right. It's kind of reversing steps.
Right.
You're moving backwards.
It's kind of like we thought we were ready to go all in. You know what? We're gonna kind of back to the drawing board.
Back
on
to the
this
drawing
one.
board, yes.
Or is it just a classic trade where you had depth at edge and you need more talent on offense and you need more cost-controlled guys, so you're going after rookie contracts? Maybe that's a simpler way to look.
Yeah.
I think that's exactly it.
Yep.
I mean, the Broncos thought they were going to potentially win a Super Bowl this year. That's how this roster was built.
Yep.
That's obviously not happening.
Nope.
So what you do in the NFL is you just try to plan for next year. They obviously didn't want to pay Bradley Chubb. They didn't want to give him the contract extension. They got a first rounder for him. I think it's a good trade. Like I think it's a smart trade for the Broncos also.
Yep. The only downside to it is Russell Wilson's not getting any younger. And you're now living in
true.
the Russell
Like the
Wilson
rest of
era,
us.
which is going to go another 3 years minimum, but probably at least 4 years and up to 7. And, I don't like the idea of pushing your timeline back by getting rid of a 26-year-old who's on a Pro Bowl pace for likely a 21, 22-year-old next year who maybe a couple years down the line turns out to be somebody who's really helping you make a push.
I just think in a lot of ways the NFL is a year-to-year sport.
Yep.
Oh, it is.
It's like they'll remake their roster to win next year, next summer, next offseason.
Yeah, now you kind of have the pieces to do it.
Yeah.
Or
You have a first
some.
round pick that you can do. You can draft somebody. First round rookies, they make an impact in the
They
NFL. We all know that. Or you can
It's true.
put it in a package, trade for somebody else,
Is this a punt on this season then?
I think a real punt would
The
be
season's
trading
done.
Jerry Jeudy. Yeah, there's no reason not
come
to
on.
punt. I mean, what?
Season's done.
You can go 6-3 the rest of the way and have a chance of making the playoffs. You can go 7-2 and be confident you would.
Yeah.
There's no reason to think they're going 7-2, especially when the schedule is about to get way tougher. I mean, you've got 2 games against the Chiefs. You haven't beat the Chiefs in 6 years. There's the
Season's
2
done,
losses
Hank.
right
Yeah.
there. Exactly.
Season's done.
So the season is basically done.
Sunny side up Harrison here with.
But
I'm just,
I mean,
I just
it's
tell it how it
honest
is.
truth.
I just
No,
tell
I
it how
mean,
it is.
Frankly, they're haunted by losses to the Jets
Yeah.
and Chargers and Raiders, who are all teams
Yeah.
like that are right there. I
'Cause
mean, not so much the Raiders. But
I think there's going to be 1 9-8 team that gets to the playoffs. There's going to be like 3 that don't. And if you were living in a world where 5-4 get you to that point, and you're like, no, it's not totally done. But when you need 6-3 just to have your hat in the ring, like hope for a 20% chance, that's just not a good place to be.
Yeah.
And so with that 20% chance kind of being slim, you reassess and you trade Bradley Chubb.
Yep. But what they
All
didn't
checks
do
out.
is, trade Dalton Reisner, who I would have traded. They
Yeah,
didn't trade
yeah,
Jerry Jeudy.
yeah.
They didn't trade Kareem Jackson, who's potentially playing his last year. He's 34 years old. So there were a bunch of other players that they could have gotten rid of. And that's why I don't see it as a punt, although the season is basically over, and they did trade away one of their best players.
It's almost like George Payton is trying to do the right thing while also not trying to look like a total shit show for his new owner.
Yeah. No, I think
That's what it
part of
looked like to me.
Yep.
It's like we have to do the right trade and trade Bradley Chubb, but we can't just go out and lose the rest of our games because then I might actually get fired.
Exactly. And on top of that, just football-wise, going from a 5-win team to a playoff team is not easy to do. And every year there's some weird turnaround somewhere where that happens. But if you can at least, I don't know, like you don't need to find a way to be a good offense, but if you can just put up, 20 points a game the rest of the season, find a way to win 6, 7, maybe even 8 games, then you at least feel like a couple good moves this offseason. You should be a playoff team.
Yeah, at least be in the race.
It'd be nice.
That's the goal, though. That's where we're tracking with this
Yep.
trade, huh?
Yep.
And so then looking forward at this pick, and you're obviously not high on Chase Edmonds. Well, I think is a nice little scat back. I mean, he's had his moments.
Is he in the mix next year?
He's so.
Well, I
the
mean,
way that-
Javonte Williams. What is he?
I mean, if it was a straight ACL tear, you'd say he's probably out the first 2 weeks next
Yeah.
year, something like that. When you have the PLC in there too, That's a lot tougher to come back from. And I mean, it's worth asking, is he ever going to be himself with an injury like that?
Right.
I know.
But more likely he's out at least the first month of the season. You're going to need something there.
So at the
Melvin's-
beginning of the season, he'll be in the mix.
You would think. But the way the contract sets up, they can either keep him next year and pay him $6 million, or they can cut him and not pay him anything. So it basically works like a team option. And you could do something in between where you say, like, we'll give him $1.5 million to play these first 4 weeks, then flip him or cut him or something like that. But I would guess that he's going to be in the mix.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting with this draft pick to think of where they're going to go to strengthen the team next year. Because you assume it's offense. Quarterback could be.
Is that a
quarterback class.
crazy
could be
idea?
spicy.
It is.
Is it crazy to draft a quarterback early?
I mean, you have to give him at least one more year. Like, you have to give Russell at least one more year. Because otherwise you're screwed. You're basically saying we're screwed. We're about to pay this man this much money, and then 3-4 years from now pay another $50 million just to get out of it. Like, you've got to find a way to make it work.
With the
What do you
caveat
think,
of
Dre?
if like say Bryce Young were to drop to them, then I think
you
you
pass
need
it off?
to consider.
I don't think it'd be the worst idea.
Yeah, I mean, there'll be some Hendon Hooker conversations. I think.
I don't know who
but,
that is,
God.
but
he's lighting the college football world
is.
on fire with
Number one.
Tennessee. He'd be
he's the Tennessee guy.
Yep.
Okay.
he'd be the Heisman favorite right now.
Yep.
Well, Tennessee guy. I mean, kind of came out of nowhere. Feels like O-line scenario. They could add a lot of talent.
I think that's the easy one. First of all, you just separate offense, defense, where they need talent. Obviously the offense. It's obviously the offense. Then you look across the offense and say, well, you do have Javonte Williams at running back. You don't really want to draft a running back in the first round anyway.
Right,
You look
but
at the
maybe.
receivers. Who knows? But
Yeah.
I wouldn't expect that. Receivers, you have Cortland Sutton, Tim Patrick, Jerry Jeudy, putting more assets
Tim
into that.
Patrick comes back. Right.
Exactly. It just doesn't really make that much sense, although it is possible. Tight end, Greg Dulcich
Right,
looks
you're
good.
enjoying Dulcich.
So, I mean, quarterback, we had that talk. All signs point toward offensive line. And there's some good tackles in this class. I've been slacking on the draft pod. I finally went and looked at a mock draft just to see who's actually in the first round. There's a couple tackles in
Nice.
that range.
It's a good tackle class.
Love a good tackle.
class.
Wouldn't that be boring, though?
Might get a good
I mean,
guard.
yeah,
you know?
but it's usually the right pick. A lot of
Exactly.
times the right pick's the boring pick.
It's just like in the Madden League. So every year we have the draft at the beginning of the year. You go like 20 rounds. You pick
Yeah.
all your players. My policy is
Great
if
stuff.
there's nobody who really jumps out to you, just get somebody in the trenches. Just offensive lineman, defensive lineman. You're not going to regret it. It's just a
Well,
nice, smart, reasonable thing to
in
do.
Madden.
In Madden. And I think here too. And here
You
too.
might regret
and
it.
Here too. And here too. I mean, you wind up with, like I mentioned, I would have traded Dalton Reisner. And it's not because he's a bad player. It's because this offensive line isn't working. His contract expires at the end of the year. You just have to shake something up and try something new, and that's an obvious place where you can do it,
Yeah.
especially when he's probably going to go get paid by somebody else because offensive linemen always get overpaid. So if you could have gotten something there, I would have loved it. For that same reason, just bring in a lineman, add another piece here, hope something clicks. You've got Quinn Miners playing awesome. Garrett Bowles is himself, and he's here for... I mean, I guess they could move on this offseason.
He's another one who's not getting any younger. Fun
True.
fact.
True.
He's 31.
Or better.
yeah, or
probably
better. Or
but
better.
the thing is, it's just the penalties. Like he's a
That's a pretty big thing, Henry.
exactly. But they disappeared last year. And then came back again. It's if you just get some penalty luck with him, because I feel like that's because luck
Sure.
gets him into like, oh yeah, he's an above average tackle
Sure.
to potentially good tackle if he gets a lot of penalty luck or just stops holding guys. But you could have 3 good pieces that you're excited about. I think offensive line really jumps out.
Yeah, definitely does. It actually feels like a class without like a tippy top guy that's going to go top 10.
Huh,
But
okay.
there might be several guys who are kind of hovering around that 20th pick. I mean,
Perfect.
we'll see how the Niners pick falls. Like it'd be 20th right now. I don't know. Like they could make a
Yeah.
run, right? With McCaffrey and stuff. I can feel it in my guts that a like absolutely amazing wide receiver will be available at that pick, and they won't take him because of the reasons you just mentioned.
Yeah.
I'm very fearful that the value will line up for a defensive back, and George Payton has a defensive back fetish.
Yeah.
And will add more talent on defense, and we'll all just
I mean, it's
All right,
intriguing.
right. Who
I mean,
among us doesn't have a deep? There's
You
plenty
could-
of options I love.
Totally. You could get off of Ronald Darby this offseason.
Yep.
He's been hurt a lot,
Yep.
so it kind of makes sense. He's been good when he's played, but that's a decision you have to make.
He has an
if
out
that's the
in
case,
his contract.
yeah, you have Damari Mathis, who has looked better since the 4 pass interferences in his first game, but that also is a thing that happened. It means that it's pretty easy to get better. You could just go after another corner to put opposite Pat Surtain.
Right.
And that would be really exciting. Then all of a sudden you have 2 great corners. You have Caden Stearns probably filling in for Kareem Jackson. You've got Justin Simmons back there. But can you really justify investing more in this defense?
I know.
No.
It's a tough.
No, you can't.
probably
you can't.
can't.
You're
It's a
putting up
toughie.
15 points a game.
Yeah. And
think
there just
16
seems to
now.
be a little mistrust with Russ and the offense right now. Like, I think
Yeah.
he's seeing ghosts. Like, clearly his
Yes.
wide receivers and him not always on the same page.
No running game.
No running game. Maybe not a ton of trust to just throw it up and let guys go get it.
And when he does throw it up, it's nowhere near the receiver. There have been a couple of these lobs down there right to a guy. It's like, what is happening?
I heard all offseason about how great this offense was going to be because of the weapons that
Yep.
the Broncos had.
Mhm.
Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, the new tight end, the running backs.
Mhm.
And it obviously hasn't happened. The biggest reason why, in my opinion, is because Russell Wilson just sucks. He's just not very good. The second biggest reason why is because Nathaniel Hackett
plays
might
well.
not know what he's doing. But the biggest reason why, I think, is because Russell Wilson is just not that. He's just not that anymore.
Not that guy.
So
Yeah.
I'm not willing to say Russell Wilson sucks. I am willing to say Russell Wilson has sucked so far. Like I'm not.
Okay.
So I think on the field he has not
Facts.
been good. I mean, it's still Russell Wilson. Like the guy's gone
He
to Pro
still
Bowl.
has the same name.
I know, but
Yes.
it's like it's 9 straight Pro Bowls. He's been to Super Bowls. Like there's been so many things that he's done so well. Like he can't just be terrible.
I don't know, man. He's looked really bad this year.
Yes,
The other
been
thing
awful.
is all the old quarterbacks are looking bad this year.
true.
Yeah.
Like it just kind of feels
Tom Brady, Aaron
like
Rodgers.
it's been the end of the line
Who-
for a
I mean,
lot of these dudes.
Russell Wilson has never been in the same tier as Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. Like I
Right.
think
I
that's
mean-
important to say. He is not.
He's
Yeah.
I think there was a 2-year stretch where he was going to Super Bowls where he was in that tier.
So you think like if somebody said, "Would you rather have Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson?" They'd have to think about it.
Back in like whenever the Legion of Boom and stuff like that was, yes.
Okay, I would never have.
I'm with you. I
There's
don't
just
think he was in
there's
that
a gap.
tier.
There's
Yeah.
a gap.
Fair enough.
But still.
Trying to think of NBA superstars who just kind of lost it.
Russell Wilson. I mean Russell
Like,
Westbrook. Sorry.
Russell Westbrook.
Those Russes.
Just kind of went
It's
down the
funny,
hill.
man. Like, Chris Paul lost it for a year
He
and then
did.
got it back.
Yep.
James Harden's kind of like he went from like
Yeah.
MVP
Yeah.
top 3 finalist to like, wow, he's a joke.
Yeah.
He really
He is a joke.
stinks.
Well, I mean, he's kind of good again, though.
He's efficient. He's effective.
He's good when he wants to be. In the NBA, you can really just turn it on and turn it off so easily, I feel like. In the NFL, there's obviously a lot more that goes into it. NBA is such more of an individual sport. Who is the Russell Wilson comparison in the NBA? Man, that's a good question.
It
Thank
might just
you.
be Russell Westbrook.
Gary Payton
Yeah.
when he went to the Lakers.
Oh wow.
Just like
I can't speak
off
to
a
that.
cliff.
Yeah, like Carmelo.
Yeah.
But I don't think either of those guys was supposed to be as good as
No,
Russell Wilson
no, you're right.
was supposed to be when he got to
You're
Denver.
right. You're exactly right.
I mean, Russell Westbrook was still like an all-star.
is it happening with AD?
It could be.
Huh.
That's a good one.
I hate that guy.
It could definitely
Yeah.
be happening with Anthony Davis. Yeah, Russell Westbrook, though, like, he was definitely on the decline,
Okay.
before this year. He's been on the
Yeah.
decline. He
was
went
terrible last
He went
year.
to Houston. He was obviously on the decline there. Washington. Yeah, he's been on the
Washington.
decline these last few years, for sure.
And even when he was good, like his play style wasn't exactly efficient.
yeah.
You know, if you, like Harrison Wind, are tracking the decline and recline of NBA superstars like Russell Westbrook, like James Harden, you can take your knowledge and apply it on an official sports betting partner of the NBA, DraftKings Sportsbook, the best sportsbook in all the land. Boost galore right now with all the sports going on at once. It's just a great time to be a user on the DraftKings Sportsbook. New users right now to commemorate the NBA being back.
Yay.
Can bet $5 on any NBA money line to win $200 in free bets. You don't sound too excited, Harrison.
Well, I mean, the biggest stories in the NBA have been Kyrie Irving promoting an anti-Semitic movie.
It's true. It's true.
Ime Udoka getting suspended and then now rehired.
Yep.
And Josh Primo exposing himself to a team psychologist.
Josh Primo, that was not...
Those have been the three biggest stories in the
That
NBA.
surprised me. That surprised
And Robert
me.
Sarver selling the Suns. That's also a story going on.
I feel like the NBA's kind of trended that way. Where it's like
Yeah.
before it's just been like drama, but the drama's kind of twisted this way, and now we're just hitting the peak of like NBA
pretty
is
depressing.
just gross.
Yeah.
Pretty depressing, but not to bet on DraftKings
That's
Sportsbook.
a way to make it more fun for sure.
In all the land. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use that promo code DMVR. Make any $5 bet this week and get $200 in free bets if your team wins. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. It's promo code DMVR. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details.
Russell Wilson might be on a Ben Simmons trajectory.
Oh wow.
Jeez, that's harsh, Harrison.
That would be
Sean
rough.
Kemp. He went to the Cavs. Kind of fell off a cliff.
Yeah.
Sean Kemp might be a good one.
I was trying to think of a modern day one.
The Matrix. Amari,
But, I
when
mean,
he went
he was
to New
still
York, but
great for
that's
that first year at
injury,
least
right?
when he
That
got
was
to the Knicks.
injuries. That was injuries. New partner alert. Game Time. Get all your hottest tickets at the best ticketing app in all the land. I actually think you can find some sweet deals slowly but surely on Broncos, Henry. We're getting there.
Oh yeah. You can get them for like $40.
It's a great time to be, partner with Game Time because Nuggets tickets are going to be amazing.
Yep.
They have the best last-second deals. You can find just, some great prices on that app. The app is great to use, and also some great customer service for them as well. I have really enjoyed it. I took my my daughter with the rest of the DMVR crew to her first Rockies game.
There you go.
It's lots of good times. We got to get her up to Folsom. She really wants to see a Broncos game. Game Time can make it happen. It just feels like a long time commitment with a 4.5-year-old.
Probably don't go to Folsom this weekend for Oregon. Probably
Get
not
smoked.
a great experience for a first game.
But maybe we just stay for 2 quarters and we don't feel bad about it.
Or maybe you can teach her to be a Duck fan.
A Duck fan.
Why would
that
you say that?
Sounds
Well, I mean,
like a good idea.
they'd have fun probably.
Right.
Yeah.
And you can find Oregon tickets on Game Time, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
They have great deals. If you love DMVR, then you'll love Game Time. The best way to support us is by buying your tickets through the link in the description here on this YouTube episode. Join over 15 million people who have downloaded the Game Time app and score the best seats to all your favorite events. All right.
Gene, DM me about that code. I'll help you out. I'll get to the bottom of it.
There you go.
DM
Gene.
me about that.
Yep. Gene's going to get you. Harrison will get you figured out, Gene.
Yeah.
That's the Harrison win promise right there.
I will.
The
look
Harrison
into it.
win guarantee. Harrison, lately you're not skipping steps anymore as a Nuggets reporter. But I don't really care about your not skipping steps trades that you've covered. I care about the Bradley Chubb layout where you sell a vet, you go in on the future, and it works out with some spicy picks or doesn't work out. I don't know that you've had too many in your tenure as a Nuggets reporter, but we have some in Nuggets history that stand out.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the Nuggets haven't really, skipped steps.
Right. It's more like
Yeah.
pick swaps.
Well, in the
At
Tim
most.
Conley era, we just held on to everybody.
Yep. That's
We
true.
never traded anyone.
I mean, it's really
until
true.
it was too late.
Yep.
And even in Nuggets history, like Mutombo just leaves, David Thompson, things kind of go awry.
The Aaron Gordon
there,
trade was the
like-
biggest trade Tim Conley made.
Yep.
Right. And that's a deadline trade.
Yeah.
Yeah. Buying or selling out the deadline. There's a case to be made for it. While I was doing research, I came across a Bleacher Report with the 10 craziest NBA trades of all time.
Wow.
Wow.
And it mentioned the
Is
Antonio
that a slideshow?
It mentioned luckily at the top is Antonio McDyess for Marcus Camby and the Nene pick. That one worked out. Kiki Vandeweghe, I think he's a month on the job, and that's where it all started to the Knicks. And those were kind of key pieces for the Melo year right there.
Yeah.
It's a great trade.
It was
that,
a great
that,
trade.
that was the McDyess trade?
McDyess trade.
Well, wasn't McDyess just nothing after that?
No, he was
Yeah.
nothing.
He was hurt in Denver. Then he just
Yep.
kept getting hurt the rest of his career.
And
Right.
then he got traded back to the Nuggets, right? Was he part of the Melo trade?
No.
Which
No.
trade was he?
He just ended
He
up.
was pre-Melo.
They also gave him the 25th overall pick, which became Frank Williams. So pretty
Not up to date on him.
benign. He did not work out.
Yeah, I mean, that did turn out to be a great trade for the Nuggets. I mean, Marcus Camby, he won
Huge.
Defensive Player of the Year with the Nuggets, right?
Yeah. I mean, that was the starting front court for that team for a while because Kmart could never stay healthy.
Right.
And
Yeah.
like Nene was kind of a key piece.
And they chose exactly the right time to dump McDyess.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
So that was a trade that worked out great for Denver.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Famously, they have 2 picks in the top 9 in that draft. One is Shkita at 5,
Let's forget about that one.
Nene at 9, and I think Amari Stoudemire goes 13th overall.
Nene had a great career, probably one of the more underrated Nuggets of all time.
Absolutely. I loved his little tomahawk
I think he
dunks.
still is in Denver a lot as well.
Is that? Oh, I think he married a Coloradoan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hard to find. We can't say that.
I
None
did
of
not
us are
marry
married to a
Coloradoan.
Coloradoan. And then, of course, the Melo trade's the one that stands out most. And you don't think of that as a vet for picks, but really the most valuable asset in that entire trade ends up being the final piece, the pick swap that gets them Jamal Murray.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, the Melo trade, man, like looking back on it, it was really. I
That's
feel
quite
like
the time to be alive.
it was a great trade for the Nuggets.
In retrospect, amazing.
Absolutely. The fact that Melo made it so known that he wants to go to the Knicks and that Masai Ujiri, who, like Kiki Vandeweghe,
Yeah.
was just coming into the job.
Right, you're right.
The
Yeah.
fact that Masai Ujiri, as a guy who had never been the top decision maker for an NBA team before, was able to get that out of the Knicks. Now, I don't know if there's another team who he could have gotten that out of. The Knicks are just inept when it comes to
Right.
a lot of their front office dealings.
I remember the only other trade on the table was like the Nets trying
It was
to
the
offer
Nets.
some picks and Derek
Yeah,
Favors,
but
which thank God they didn't take.
That I don't think that trade would have ever happened because Melo did not want to go there. He wanted to go to the Knicks. And it was that trade is so monumental because it was like the Nuggets got such a haul for Carmelo Anthony. Even today, you don't see superstars getting traded for that much.
Only Rudy Gobert.
Only Rudy
our-
Gobert.
Our friend Tim Conley might have changed that.
Tim Conley's
trend.
kind of reset the market
Yeah,
on that.
yeah.
But before Gobert, you really did not see superstars get traded for that kind of haul. And that was also kind of the low-key start of the player empowerment era with
big time.
Definitely.
Carmelo
Big time,
saying,
man.
like, very publicly voicing that he wants to go to the Knicks. That's where he ended up. That's how it happens now. A star player pretty much says they want out and publicly says where they want to get traded or publicly signals it, and they usually get traded there. That's just how it works in the great league of the NBA. But that was an incredible haul that the Nuggets got for Carmelo Anthony, and it kept them very competitive and also set them up for the future.
Yeah, I mean, you get 4 rotational players in Mozgov, Gallo, Ray Felton, and Wilson Chandler, and
Yeah.
then there was at least another first rounder in the mix there that I can't. Maybe that's the Moutier pick.
Yeah, maybe.
That makes sense.
No, I think the Moutier pick was their pick because they were really bad the
Yeah,
previous
They
They
year.
were
were.
really bad.
the other one that stands out is them trading Nick Van Exel and Ray LaFrentz as Mark Cuban, first-time owner, trying to make a splash. The
Classic.
return on either of those is not great, but hey, at least they tried.
Yeah, Rafe LaFrentz, but he was before his time.
Oh,
Rafe LaFrentz,
was.
if he came into
He
the
was.
league 15 years later, he might have had a spot.
would modern medicine have advanced enough to keep Rafe together?
Oh,
That's
I,
the big
I was just
question,
thinking
huh?
from like a stretch 5 element.
right. No, I agree.
You
I
know,
agree.
you could shoot the rock.
That was kind of the low-key Chet comp. Him and Sean Bradley,
That's
which
hilarious.
Wow.
felt like massive red flags to me. But I think the Melo trade, similar to the Chubb trade, and we could talk about the Duchesne trade as one of the great examples of the Avs doing this and the Rockies lately haven't been great about this is when your time comes, you need to know when to make a move and
Right.
take the losses where they come and just try to maximize the package you can get.
Yeah.
Yep.
How you can really screw yourself as a GM is exactly what you said. When you hang on
Staying
for too
put.
long.
Staying put.
When you hang on for too long and you convince yourself, like, it would have been really bad if George Payton was trying to convince himself that the Broncos could win the Super Bowl this year or even make the
Yep.
playoffs. Because if he did, he might have
Yep.
held on to Bradley Chubb.
Yep. And the big thing is the contract.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 5 years, $110 million, 68, I think 63 million guaranteed.
Yeah.
Like, you just can't give that out. And the option was you can either keep Bradley Chubb, franchise tag him this offseason, get him on your roster for one more year for $20 million, and then you go through next season. You can move him at the trade deadline, probably not for more than you got, maybe for less if things don't go well, or just hold on to it and say we're riding out this season and going all in on this season, which seems like it'd be unlikely to want to do that. And then there's the fact that he could just hold out in the offseason, say he wants the contract, like just take the package, move on. It's a good deal. Oh, also, Antonio McDyess was part of the AI Chauncey Billups trade. He just got bought out.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was at the
Oh.
very, very end of his career, probably.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. AI gets sent to Detroit. Yeah, and Chauncey comes here.
The AI trade was big too.
It was huge.
Kind of the other way though.
Yep, exactly.
Yep.
Kind of no picks involved in any of that.
Yeah, what was it? Iverson
Kiki-
for Phillips and
Yeah.
Kiki let go of all those picks once he was there. They didn't draft.
Huh.
It was
Yeah.
like
well, George Karl hated rookies, so
Right,
he knew
right.
like if I drafted somebody, they're never gonna play.
from Nene to Ty Lawson, there is a massive gap of them.
Yeah,
Like
they just
barely
really punted
ever
on the
drafting
draft
anyone. Yeah.
with George Karl. They really did.
Yeah.
And their depth was horrendous.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like horrible.
It's not a bad call when you're a good team though. I mean, how often do you see teams go in there where there's like rookies contribute on championships? Like usually there's like one.
Yeah.
And one young guy who's factoring in, and it's mostly just guys who've been around, like
Yeah.
a KCP
Yep.
for the Nuggets, or for a while it was like Kyle Korver just happened to be on all those teams. Like it felt like there's all these veterans that are just filling the roles that rookies could.
Yeah, absolutely. I think some teams can operate that way. The Lakers,
Yeah,
the
that's the other part.
76ers,
Yeah.
the Nets. But if you're not one of those teams, I think you got to keep the pipeline going. You got to have a couple guys in the pipeline that you can turn into cheap
For
off
sure.
the bench guys.
In the NBA, it's not the big. In the NFL, it's not the big market that dictates that. It's having the superstar quarterback and being able to convince the veteran, come to us. We'll make a last run, like DeMarcus Ware with Peyton.
Yep.
Take below market value to come with us, Wes Welker,
Yep.
and we'll make it happen. And of course, the other way is like what the Avs were doing last year, where they're trading picks, they're trading prospects. Justin Barron comes for Arturi Lehkonen, and that was huge in
Yes.
making that final run. Moving on to the Avs, they're the best example of this. It's technically not Denver sports, but it is the ultimate example of this kind of trade. Is last couple of years before they moved to Denver, the Nordiques trade superstar Eric Lindros, first overall pick a couple years ago. He was supposed to be the absolute next great thing in hockey, wins the MVP, but injuries kind of get him, never wins championships. And they end up getting Mike Ritchie and Peter Forsberg straight up. A ton of other pieces, one that they shipped straight up for Patrick Waugh, and another one that they shipped straight up for Adam Detmarsh. So that trade built the modern Avs. We just weren't part of it because it happened in Quebec. But that is the ultimate, like you trade one guy who's supposed to be a superstar but doesn't quite work out because of injuries and whatever else, and you're able to parlay that into multiple superstars from there. And then the better example more recently is the Duchesne trade, which is similar to the Melo trade, where like Joe Sakic doesn't have the leverage. He's kind of forced into a corner, but he takes his time. He's patient. And the pick they get ends up being Bo Byram, who's obviously already grown into being a key piece. You also get Sammy G straight up and Shane Bowers, who is kind of one
We
of the
started
few lost
talking about the
prospects.
Avs, and AJ just
I
walked
know.
into the
Now I'm
Yeah.
sweating. I'm
That
worried
was
I
the
said
first
something
time we had
wrong.
mentioned the
You're
Avs
talking
all
about
incredible.
Duchesne in front
Yeah.
of the Avs guys.
It's incredible.
AJ just pops in. That was great.
It's great.
Hockey Night
Yeah, you want to come on the
it's
show? You want to
it's a
replace me for this
TDSP.
segment?
I don't know if you've seen this before. Exactly.
Oh, Rudo's
exactly.
here too.
Yeah. Shane Bowers, my guy. I talked about him on the draft pod where we broke down the Cale Makar class. I remember it well. So yeah, Av's kind of the best examples of that in both ways.
It's
Not
crazy.
so much like hanging on too long.
Are hockey front offices the smartest front offices in sports?
No, because they do things like give Curtis McDermott a contract because they're big and tough.
Okay, well, it's
Yeah.
definitely not NBA front offices. I
It's
think we know
not
that.
NBA front offices, though. I think the big markets.
It's probably
get-
not NFL.
Yeah, is it baseball? Baseball's
have
such
no
a
idea.
crapshoot.
It's not the Rockies. It's great. The Rockies should be dominating this segment, like
They should
rebuilding
be.
through trading good players,
But
but
you-
they don't even have one.
You can't trade picks. You
Oh,
can't
really?
trade picks in the MLB.
Huh? But
That's
still,
for
like,
bulletin.
you still
Can you
can't even say,
imagine?
like,
Can you imagine how few draft picks the Rockies would have if they were able to trade draft
oh my
picks?
goodness. Oh.
Yeah, that would be incredible. Like a draft pick trade, we have added Hassel Cattle back onto our mix of sponsors and partnerships. They ruined my youngster for any other kind of steak. She couldn't eat it because she.
Oh,
she
she's
had-
bougie now.
Yeah, she became a Wagyu steak consumer. How can you go back, Harrison? I frankly couldn't go back. It's like it
that
feels
sucks
like
for
this
you, man.
wasn't made with butter embedded in my steak. Wagyu steak is
She's like, "Where's the marbling?"
yeah, come on. It's insane how good their stuff is. We're offering it at some tailgates. It's just the best. I can't wait to have it back at the bar. If you want to taste before purchasing, come check it out at a DMVR tailgate. And right now, head to HassleCattleCompany.com to secure your bag of beef or get the old jalapeno sausages. Those were amazing. Code DNVR20 for 20% off your entire purchase. That's DNVR20 for 20% off. And then Harrison, a favorite sponsor of ours, James Harden has suffered a right foot tendon. That's great.
I
That's
just
not
saw
a
that.
favorite sponsor of ours. It's that Ivaca TV
Well,
sent you
now
guys
now
out
the
to
path
Serbia.
has really been laid for Joel Embiid to win MVP.
Yes.
I mean, this is working out
Wow.
perfectly
Yeah.
Wow.
for the Embiid backers.
You heard it here first. You heard it here first. That makes me sad, Harrison, unlike seeing you at Jokic's stable, horse track, turning to the camera and saying, "This is unreal. I can't believe it." All thanks to our friends
that
at
was
Ivaca
facts.
TV.
Yes.
Anything else you want to say on the documentary? Or
Yeah, I mean, the Serbia doc is out.
It's
100
out.
Invisible
It's amazing.
Threads. You can watch on Ivaca TV. There was just a showing
Incredible
last
stuff.
night.
Yep.
I think
Yep.
the next showing is next week.
Yep.
No, I think it's the coolest project we've ever done at DNVR.
Yeah, for sure.
Full stop. I think it is. Maybe because I was
100%.
a little bit involved in it.
You were big involved in it. You
yeah.
were interviewed by Serbian national TV.
Yeah, that was crazy. We did go on like the morning show.
You learned a
Two of
lot
them
about Serbian
in Serbia.
basketball history.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
it's a great
it's
doc.
amazing
I
stuff.
think it's the coolest thing we've done at DNVR, and I think it's unlike anything anybody has done in sports media.
No more said than that. Go check out more info for showings, all the great spotlights and live pods they did from Serbia. We've got a nice little banner on thedmvr.com. And then to check all this out with Ivaca, evcoa.tv/DNVR to watch your favorite Colorado sports. Yeah, they also carry Altitude TV and everything else to have you set.
It's the only place where you can watch the documentary right now.
Yep,
And you
it
also
really
get
is
the nuggets.
exclusive. It's
Yep.
incredible stuff. So there you go. Henry, we move on down memory lane to Vets, 4 draft picks to the Broncos. This was harder to find because I don't know if we can even qualify the John Elway trade as this.
He wasn't a vet.
No, but they trade vets and picks
Oh.
to get John Elway, who's technically a pick, but everyone knew John Elway was already the pick. And I mean, does John Elway really count in this course? You're not taking a swing on like the 20th overall pick. You're like, oh, that's John freaking Elway. I say that for the kids watching today.
That was nice.
Thank you. A nice gesture from me. But it is again John Elway.
Yeah.
The chosen one.
He was what, rookie at that? How long after the draft did they trade for him? It was less than a week,
it's
right?
within the. I'll stretch the window within a month of him having been drafted by the Baltimore Colts.
Yeah, that's so garbage.
Yep. Not fans of the Baltimore.
Yeah,
over
I mean,
here.
they did trade vets. They traded the
There he
rookie.
is. Yep.
I mean, I think that's
It's your ruling,
for
Henry.
a trade.
I think
Right.
it kind of qualifies.
It qualifies as like trading for a good player, right?
if
What-
it
what is the question?
qualifies,
What exactly is the question? I guess is the.
I mean, we've done the whole show on trading a vet for picks. I've given you tons of examples
not
from
picks.
Avs and Nuggets.
This isn't picks.
But it's a pick. The pick is John Elway.
But he'd
But
already,
he'd already
picked.
been drafted. Ruling stands, doesn't qualify. AJ, if that did qualify, more monumental for Denver sports, the Eric Lindros trade or the John Elway trade?
Has to be
AJ
Elway.
says John Elway, so there you go. Avs people can't get mad at me. AJ Hafley said that. TD acquired through a pick swap. Like a higher fourth for a fourth and a sixth, and that sixth ends up being TD. Not bad.
Not bad at all.
Again, no vet involved, so it doesn't qualify. Sorry, Henry, I tricked you.
You did trick me.
Yeah, I got you good. Jay Cutler, however, does. 2 first-rounders, another lower pick, Kyle Orton. What's crazy is the first rounder becomes Robert Ayers. Not so good.
Bust.
Yeah,
Yep.
bust. In
Knew
that
it the second he was drafted.
in that same draft, they draft Noshawn Moreno.
Yep.
Kind of works out. Not the hype we expected. with the
I don't
first-round
think we
pick.
can call him a bust.
Right.
What's
Bad
your
pick,
What's
not a
your
bust.
best memory of Noshawn Moreno?
Crying.
Him crying on the
Exactly.
sideline.
That's what I was thinking.
Him being like a reliable veteran back on that Super Bowl 50 team. But that's it.
Super Bowl 48, right?
Super Bowl 48.
Yeah.
Thank you, Henry. Thank you. Of course,
Yep.
it's Super Bowl 48.
If it was Super Bowl 50,
did the
we call it a good
camera
pick.
go Audi Quattro on
It looks
us?
like it did.
Okay, it happens every now and then. That's no
boy.
problem. Wow. And then you have Jay Cutler. Robert Ayers doesn't work out. They trade their own pick next year for Alfonso Smith. Worst trade in
Oh,
Broncos
yep.
history. But
Terrible.
then that other Chicago pick, they trade down. They trade down again. They trade down once more.
Oh, wow.
Trade back up. Draft Demarius Thomas. And with
Great
all
pick.
those trade downs, they have more ammo to pick one Tim Tebow. And then
Wow.
more of that ammo goes to Eric Decker in the 3rd round. That Decker Tebow DT for Cutler.
That's
it's
a
everything.
hell of a
That
trade.
is a good
It's
return.
everything.
That is a good return.
That's
Yeah.
almost mellow like.
Wow. What would the Broncos record be right now if they had Jay Cutler from his last year in Denver instead of Russ?
Way better than it is.
I think so too.
This is what I'm trying to tell you guys.
No, way
No,
better.
I think it's
Russell
5-3.
Wilson
Yeah.
is
those
not
teams were
good.
high scoring.
Yeah, Jay Cutler was awesome.
Caveat is, I think you need Mike Shanahan calling the plays, though.
That is
Sure.
true.
Don't disregard Mike Shanahan's impact.
I would never.
Do we have Tony Scheffler and Eddie Royal? That's the bigger question.
No, you
where's
don't.
Brandon Marshall?
Like
Like,
those guys.
because these receivers aren't going to cut it. I think the receivers might be the problem.
I was told we have great receivers.
I know
The
I
whole
know.
summer.
I got
You know
in
what?
trouble for saying they might not be great.
You know what happened is we were used to Decker and DT. We didn't know if they were great, but we were like, they're going to be great with Peyton, and they were.
Yep.
So we've convinced ourselves we can just do that every time. Not that easy, Mr. Wind. Not that easy. And then the Rockies can't trade draft picks, but they did do a decent job of this with Matt Holliday, who they get cargo for, and
was a
Houston
good
Street.
Yep.
But again, no picks. Corey Dickerson, they swap him for a
C-Dick.
young prospect named Herman Marquez. Works
Good
out.
trade.
That is a good one. A rare good trade from the Rockies.
They try that with Ubaldo, doesn't quite work out. They try that with Nolan Arenado, doesn't quite work
Oh,
out.
God.
They try it with Tulo.
Did they try that with Nolan?
Yeah,
They
maybe
didn't
they
try
did. Fair
anything.
enough,
Or
Harrison.
were they just like, oh, whatever?
Yeah, we'll be bad. Sure. He
Yeah.
wants to leave. Go.
They
Let's
try
pay
it
his
with
salary.
Tulo was maybe more maddening than Nolan. Like they get veteran Jose Reyes.
Tulo
like,
thought
that
so.
always was gonna suck.
That was.
But hey, I'll still take that over what they did with John Gray and Trevor Story, which was
Just let him
diddly
walk.
squat. Again, that
Right.
one's for the kids. For the kids.
Yep. Yeah, that is terrible. Like I said, like they should be leading this whole like trading to rebuild conversation, but they've They've almost never hit on those,
You
despite
don't
trying over
You
and
don't
over again.
sit on your hands. You don't sit on your hands.
They do.
They do. So
Yeah.
all that to say, maybe George Payton did the right thing with.
Do you think
Bradley
George
Chubb.
Payton's a good GM?
Is George Payton a good GM?
Yeah.
I think he's good.
Yeah.
He's a good drafter.
I think George
Yes.
Payton's
Is
good.
he good in the other areas of GMing, hiring a coach, free agency, trades? That I think is more an incomplete grade. I do feel like we
Yep.
can give him a good grade as a drafter.
More bad coaches are hired than good coaches. And that doesn't excuse hiring Hackett, but you do
Wasn't
have to
that-
factor in that that's what happens.
What I just described for George Payton, that's kind of the book on Tim Conley, right?
What?
Yeah.
Wait,
Like-
describe it again.
That he's a good drafter. Is he a good GM as far as coaching, hires, trades,
Michael Malone's a
free
good hire.
agency? Michael Malone was a good hire. I was on the fence about.
And the Aaron Gordon
M&M
trade
for
was
a
great.
minute. Yep.
Yeah. Where
So there you go. He's made it happen.
where would you rank Michael Malone among NBA coaches? He top 10 NBA coach?
Top 10. See, I
That's
think
the
there
thing.
are like the top 5 best coaches in the league, the
Yep.
bottom 5, and then everybody else is pretty similar. I think he's in the group that's pretty similar. Like, I don't think he's a top 5 coach.
Pretty solid is
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
grade. for
He's a good
Michael.
coach. He's
Good
been
coach.
good. He's a solid
is.
coach. I think the Nuggets can win a championship with him.
Yep.
I think he's a good coach. There.
There you go. That's
He's not Eric Spoelstra, Steve Kerr.
Greg Popovich. Is Greg
Uh,
Popovich
Greg
still
I don't know
around
if Greg
here?
Popovich
I don't
is a top
think
5
he
coach
is.
anymore.
I don't think he is.
He was
Wow.
forever, but I don't know
As a
if he is
wine
anymore.
taster, maybe he's in that top tier.
Yeah.
Shouts to Greg Popovich. Thank you, fellas, for doing this with me. It was a
Thank
fun,
you, man.
fun trip down memory lane. Skipping some steps, retracing some steps. Very enjoyable all around. That's TDSP for you. We'll be back next week.
1990 was also the year that Drazen and Vladi had their